Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. Welcome to my review for Avataro Sentai DonBrothers Episode 16. Another really good episode. A continuation of our Six Rangers debut arc. The first half starts as a little bit silly, but then it quickly takes a turn for the more serious, before ending on a silly note. Anyway, that's about it for this one, guys. Until next time. Just kidding. So at the beginning of the episode, you effectively set up the premise of Gold wants to prove himself to the team and to be liked by the team. And he goes about this by, I think he has a welcoming party for himself, and then he starts shadowing all the Rangers at their daily lives and their jobs. And it basically gets on everyone's nerves as he's trying to sort of do this and become well liked. And at one point he even gives advice to Kiji Brother where he's like, well, what caused you to become a monster? Because Kiji Brother was feeling guilty about what happened, and he's like, well, it started with my wife. He's like, so it's a woman that's the problem. Just dump her. And of course, Kiji Brother wouldn't do that. But it does lead to a nice scene later with Kiji Brother and his wife giving him, reassurance and motivation, because he's feeling very insecure. It says, a mantra of, you can do it effectively. Just believe! And then later, that leads to him charging into battle more confidently. So that leads to a nice moment. But effectively, it's just kind of a lot of funny moments that is driven by this character's story. Probably the funniest moment of it was when he met Unui Brother, because he doesn't know who he is at that moment, so he gives him a dog bowl, and he actually eats from it. I thought that was the funniest moment. But it all ultimately culminates when he's having this dinner with Momoitaro, when he's like, well, I have to do all this, because eventually I'm going to replace you. And Momoitaro was like, no one can replace me. You're assistant to the regional manager. I'm regional manager. And this sets him off, the fact that he's never going to be regional manager. And something changes in him. And then after that, he goes around and is turned evil by a Taja spinner. Product placement will always get you. Now, I don't know if that's the reason, but he's kind of flipped into this evil version. Not an evil version, just another Taja spinner like this one. No, he's flipped into an evil version after this. I don't think it has anything to do with the Taja spinner device thing. But he goes after each one of the Rangers, and he steals their morphers, except for Kiji Brother, who he doesn't get. And then he confronts Momotaro later, and he's able to transform into the other Rangers using their glasses. And then there's this stupid moment where, Momotaro can't hit him in battle, because him transforming into the other Rangers reminds him too much of his friends. I think that might go into his pacifism thing, but at the same time, I'm like, well, that's stupid. You know it's not them. They're standing right there. I always hate moments like that. I think it's stupid. He winds up getting literally smacked out of it by Yellow, who slaps him. You just got slapped across the face, my friend. He wakes up, he's like, oh man, I can't believe I did that. What's going on? I have to do product placement. So he's got to show off more of the Taja spinner, and he shows off his alter form, which is super cool, and I hate that these little cool forms are wasted on these tiny little dinky things. But he shows that off, we get the product placement of the episode, we defeat the monster and the robot, yada yada yada, and then we end off with them trying to figure out what to do about Gold now, and then Momotaro also apologizing for his mistakes a little bit. But it was overall a really nice episode. There was one other part within it when Momotaro finds out that someone else besides the Rangers helped with his resurrection, and that was Sonoi. And when he's in battle with him, he pulls him aside and says, well, why'd you do it? And he says, I'd rather not say. So they addressed that and are continuing that dynamic, but it was only a small little nugget. But I thought this was a good episode because it was kind of a nice mixed bag of tones of kind of the silly fun at the beginning and then things really taking a turn. And I think this sort of alternate personality thing going on for Gold is a really interesting bit. Especially since I think that version's more badass and more interesting than the cartoon version. I mean, I'm sure eventually we'll calibrate whatever this is and we'll just be left with the caricature that we have now. But it's definitely something interesting. I imagine it has something to do with the mythology this is all based on, which again, I am not familiar with at all. I hope that it sticks around for a little bit, not overstays its welcome, but I guess I just hope after we finish whatever this debut arc is that he remains a character that's interesting and more developed than I'm worried about him becoming that cartoon character that the Six Rangers will often become. I just hope that doesn't happen. But it's kind of nice to see, at least for a moment, a badass version of a Six Ranger, and the actor pulls it off well of acting like the classic Six Ranger cartoon, but then also acting like a badass Six Ranger. And I'll be interested to see where it goes from here. But overall, a really solid episode. I would give it a 4 out of 5. Let me know what you guys think of this episode in the comments. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get the notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.